All right, howdy. Welcome back to Winley Mania, the greatest podcast you've never heard of, brought to you by the greatest band you've never heard of. That band being Winley. You got to follow at Winley_band on Instagram, on Twitter, on all that crap, so you can keep up with the world of Winley. I think I got Andrew's introduction right. But my name is Devin Hopkins. Today, the guest we have is my father, Eddie Hopkins. And this was a really fun conversation. I got to talk to him about his introduction to the music scene, all the shows that he went to back in the day, how he even got into music. And it was just a really fun talk because I'd never really asked him these questions, and I figured I would ask him these questions in front of two microphones. So, hope you enjoy this little conversation we had. Father.
Have we started?
Yes.
Thought we were still doing microphone check.
I was trying to surprise you into it, so it felt like we were just having a natural conversation.
Oh, okay.
Did it work?
Yeah, because you always call me father. That's correct.
Well, you and I go.
Are you borrowing money or something? What are you calling me father for?
you and I go way back, right?
Oh, that's kind of true. Yeah.
I would say we go way back.
Way
back. One of my earliest musical memories, or memories in general, is listening to the band Green Day in your Ford Ranger.
Right. And
that's kind of how we ended up having this conversation with these microphones right now.
Uh-huh.
If you think of everything has led to this very moment since then.
You don't remember that you loved a wonderful movie about a gentle green ogre named Shrek.
Oh yeah, I still love that.
The song in that was All Star, and that you at like 2 or 3 or I don't know, something like that. You had memorized all the words to All Star at that point. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
So
that's probably why I still remember so many words today.
Yes,
I've committed them to memory.
You would perform it for me. It was amazing. It was great.
I don't remember that. You got video of that?
No.
Oh.
I have a phone with video. I had a phone with Snake on it.
I remember stealing your phone to play Snake.
Yes.
But I wanted to kind of talk about your introduction to like how you found, because you've shown me a lot of cool bands over the past however old I am. I think 26 now. But you've shown me a lot music-wise and movie-wise and culture-wise. And I know you've had involvement in the local scene at some point or another, being friends with some bands from the past. But like, what got you into like the punk rock bands that you've shown me, or just music in general?
Well, I don't know. My parents, they had they were old as dirt, so they had 2 different, very distinct. My dad, he had Jim Reeves. He had his song was something about a rose. Fuck, I can't remember. Anyway, and then there was what's the other guy? Roger Miller. He had a bunch of those. Dang me.
Like
and,
some old like
King of the Road.
Some old country stuff.
Yeah, he was mainly country. And he did have a guitar, but it only had 2 strings by the time I recognized that it was a guitar. Oh. So, I don't even know whatever happened to it. I don't think it was real, but I don't think it was like real good. I mean, I don't think it lasted. It might have ended up just in the trash can, as much value as it had. So, and then my mom, she was 10 years younger than him, however, but she had Ricky Nelson, Elvis Presley, and all these 45s and LPs, An LP is an album. A 45 is like a small album. So
long playing is what they call it.
Long play. Yeah.
That's where LP comes from.
And she had a bunch of, Jerry Lee Lewis and a bunch of stuff like that. All things 50s. So, and was a real big fan of the Happy Days and the Fonzarelli and the AE. So I really liked the 50s and the 60s stuff. So me and my sister would play that stuff all the time. I had a little record player. It was like a record is like an album, and it would be like a suitcase, and you could open it up and you could play albums on it. He actually once they were made so poorly that you had to put like a penny, you had to tape a penny to the needle, to the top of the needle in order for it to balance correctly in order to play it. Yeah, that's a
funny.
trick that you had to do back then. So, now they make them like specific and purposeful and they're half the price, but, probably don't even last as long, but nonetheless. So, there was only like 3 channels of TV back then. So, listening to, and then middle of the afternoon, there was nothing on but soap operas. So, me and my sister would just listen to the records and learned everything. And then I remember Grease came out, a movie called Grease, and we really liked that movie. We would perform all the songs on the Grease album.
Oh, it's not tightening.
She would sing all the girl songs, and I would sing all the guy songs. Because we didn't have anybody but each other. So
right.
Same thing, kids just go do something. All right, so we would go do that. So I guess music was always a part of everything. I do remember you guys always talk about first albums, and my timelines are always messed up. Of course, there's only 2 places to get music. Well, 3 places. You go to Kmart, which had literally nothing, and then there was Sounds Familiar, that had everything, and then there was Record Bar, which was at the mall, and that was kind of in the middle. So, I do remember buying Pac-Man Fever.
Pac-Man Fever.
I bought that album. I bought Pac-Man Fever, and it had a bunch of songs on it. It had like a Donkey Kong song, and it had a Centipede song, and all the kinds of stupid shit songs on there. But the Pac-Man Fever, it had a skip in it. So I was like, So I took it back. I got another one. Opened it up. It had a skip in it. Took it back. Got another one. It had a skip in it. And I gave up after that. So I was like, I'm not meant to own this album, I guess. So, I just remember buying that one.
So you could say you were immune to Pac-Man fever.
I didn't even like the game. I just wanted. I hated that game. I still think it's one of the worst games, and I don't understand the popularity of it. But nonetheless,
You don't like Pac-Man?
it's awful.
What on
Just
this
the same
Pac-Man?
fucking thing. It's the same thing, and all you got to do is just go faster each time, And everybody else is like,
It's hard.
everybody else is like, I got 110,000. I got 98,000. I'm like, I got 8,000. I'm just not interested. I'd rather play something else. Skee ball, at least I know I can maybe get better. I don't know.
If I can get the 100 at least once, that's a win.
I barely got. I think there's a bonus stage after 3. I think I got there one time. So anyway, nonetheless, I do remember buying.
Here, let me fix your mic.
Yeah, it keeps falling.
Yeah, these things are defective.
Do you remember buying Guitar Center garbage?
This is one of the nice ones. This is one of the nicer ones. I think the mic's just kind of...
Mike's too heavy. I'm talking too heavy, man.
Yeah, this is some heavy talks.
Heavy. But, it's basically whatever's top 40, I remember buying specifically Flock of Seagulls because of I ran so far. I remember that. And then I remember specifically, like everybody had bought, Kilroy was here in Styx, which had Mr. Roboto on it. And so everybody had that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, a friend of mine is Chris Stewart, and he, like, came here and, like, in 7th grade, and, like, the first day, I was like, who's that guy? And somebody said, well, he's just moved here from North Myrtle Beach, and he had wrote on his knuckles AC/DC, and on the other knuckles Ozzy. And he was just like 12 years old, and I was like,
So this was like when you're buying these records, you're about like
12,
middle school, high school age.
Yeah.
Okay.
5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. So and then he introduced me. I don't even know. I keep trying to think of how we became friends, but I just remember vividly that day, him coming in with AC/DC on his knuckles, like a badass 12-year-old, So, yeah, but he introduced me to like Motley Crue and Iron Maiden and all this other stuff, Judas Priest. I remember he didn't have enough money one day, and he said, "I'll sell you." What was which Iron Maiden had the Trooper on it? I don't remember.
Was that Piece of Mind?
That's Pieces of Mind. Yeah. He said, "I'll sell you this cassette for $3. I don't have any lunch money." And cassettes, like brand new back then, were nearly $8. So what a bargain!
Wow,
So
got you a deal.
I mean, minimum wage was like 4 blackberries. So everything was different. But I think most cassettes and cassettes were like $8, $7.99 or something like that back then. Anyway, so I remember specifically me giving him $3 for that one day, and Motley Crue and Shout at the Devil. So I would go back after I bought Kilroy was here. I said, well, I want to see if they have anything else, and I bought Paradise Theater, which was the previous album from Styx, to see what else they had. And Motley Crue. Shout at the Devil came out, and Too Fast for Love was the first album, so I got that one too. Cassettes. I never bought albums. I always bought cassettes because it seemed like a lot easier to me as far as accessibility, which was good because eventually they had cassette players in cars, so they didn't have record players in cars. So
Still don't.
I think they did at one point, but no, it
did
not work out very well. So he introduced me to that scene and the heavy metal scene. So I went from having, pictures on my wall of, science projects that I did, and I would tack them to my wall and, stuff like that, and reports, and I would tack them to the wall, to having Motley Crue and Circus Magazine, and I cut up Circus Magazine. A magazine is full of papers. Circus full of pictures and articles about the different bands and stuff. Circus Magazine was really popular, and so I would take pictures out of that and tap to the wall, and it was just kind of totally different. Changed my life.
What were your country loving 60s rock and roll loving parents?
They just ignored me. It was funny because my sister, she had, this was 1983, so what was the number one album? It was by a little guy named Michael Jackson who loved kids, apparently. If you don't believe me, look up Michael Jackson loves kids too much. Google that. Anyway. But she had Michael Jackson bullshit all over her walls. Every Michael Jackson poster and Thriller. And I was like, how can you just listen to that? I'm not listening to the same album repeatedly. I would listen to the whole album, basically, and not just listen to the hits. But she would just, that's it? That's all you want in your life? Michael Jackson, that's all you want? So, this is about the time that MTV started taking off, So I fell out with, didn't fall out with Chris. Sometimes you just don't hang out with people for a little while. And then I came back around. I think it was the summer because I was always working in the summer and I didn't see anybody very much in the summer. And I came back and then he introduced me to, it seems like 8th grade or 9th grade. I think it was 8th grade when Institutionalized and Suicidal Tendencies Institutionalized and the Repo Man soundtrack. I remember buying those because he introduced me to those.
I don't think I've seen the Repo Man.
You haven't seen the Repo Man?
I haven't seen it.
Well, it's got Circle Jerks on it, Black Flags on it. Shit. I just remember those two. I think the Plugs were on it. They're kind of like somebody. But anyway, And all this time I was still getting into my own metal thing, and finding new stuff and people that when I worked at Fun Plaza. Well, as a kid, I was 12 years old, and I worked about a bunch of 17 and 18-year-olds and a bunch of adults and stuff, So they would introduce me to different stuff. So, I found Rush that way, and I found other stuff that way. But that's how I found punk rock was because of Mr. Chris Stewart. So, and introduced me to the different side of people, I guess you could say, because I always thought that the metal guys, they were always the blue jean jacket guys, a bunch of buttons and the hair looking like they combed it with a side of bacon, all those guys, he introduced me to a bunch of those guys, and they were just normal guys. They were just all 13-year-olds who like smoked, you know.
The cool kids, right?
Yeah, he also taught me how to surf and stuff like that. And
He also taught me how to smoke.
he taught me how to smoke too, yeah, unfortunately. But he was smoking when he was 12 because, you know, obviously badass. You got Ozzy tattoos on your...
That's got to be like a requirement. If you can't have one without the other,
Yeah.
it seems. If
Yeah.
at that time period, I'd imagine.
So he was a good shit talker too. So as far as talking to ladies, so you know, good wingman for that kind of nonsense. So you know, and basically, and then I'm trying to think. Ninth grade was a bad year because that's when my dad died. So you know, kind of went into a shell, and then Chris did try to bring me out of it by this. It happened in November, so he tried to bring me out of it by spring, and I was out hanging out, you know, going surfing and doing more stuff and stuff like that. So then he introduced me to a whole new set of people. And so I'm trying to think. You guys also talk about the first show you ever went to.
Yeah, that was going to be my next thing. Like when I know that you gave me like a couple posters. I have it somewhere. You gave me like when the Ramones played here. I know that all these bands. I know that all these bands used to come through. And,
Yeah.
there used to be, I guess, more of like that style venue that had that kind of drawing power for national acts.
Well,
So-
we are. I think you guys talk about it. We're off the beaten path a little bit. As far as getting off an interstate, then they got to factor that into, you know, coming this way. And so I think the first show we went to was a Betrayal, which was an early version of Squirrel. And
Shout out Squirrel.
Shout out Squirrel, the boys. I guess, did you go to their show the other night?
We had another show booked, so I couldn't be at both. I would have gone. I think I know Brian McKenzie's in it. I don't know if there's another former Squirrel in that band as well.
I don't know.
I heard
Yeah,
from someone else.
Well, you know.
I heard it was a good show.
It's after 9, so. There's another one. I think it's the Pirates Cove show that you guys play with them, and it's on YouTube. So I watched that the other day, and the sound was awful. So, but I got the gist of it. So yeah. But anyway, Betrayal. They were speed metal. They were more speed metal than they were punk. So Betrayal. And they played at the Fireman's Clubhouse, which Michael Wood. He mentioned that too, and I've forgotten about that I went there one time, and then I never went there again. There was no other shows there again.
Oh, wow.
So,
that's the Myrtle Beach special.
Yeah. And then I saw him again, like the next week. I know there's a bar in Myrtle Beach called Pop's Place right now, but this is another place that was called Pop's Place. I mean, are you even a country town if you don't have a bar called Pop's Place?
You gotta have at least one.
One Pop's Place, you know, best burgers in town. So it was down on the boulevard, and I saw Betrayal there. But that show was like 4:00 on a Sunday. So they were just like, you're not interrupting anything we have going on. You guys can play here 4:00 on Sunday, and we keep half the door probably, you know, nonsense. And I think Betrayal broke up after that. And this is about the same time I heard about somebody heard somebody Mass Appeal, which was the early version of Bazooka Joe, and they played at the Burgess Community Center down by your warehouses.
Oh wait, I think I've seen like a flyer about
That was a long
shows
time ago.
happening there.
Yeah, and then we probably fucked it up. That's what normally happens. We fuck it up. So, you know, but they were called Mass Appeal at that time. And then they came back around. Then, like when I was like a junior in high school, there was Castaways, which was a bar back in the 70s and 80s. And I know for a fact that Fraley's Comment, which is Ace Frehley. Yeah, his band played there one time. But it's a pretty small venue. So the guy was going to open it up as a teen club, and then he got the Squirrel Boys to, and he didn't have a liquor license, you know. So he opened it up in February, and he was just going to have bands. And then he realized very quickly that he needed a liquor license if he was going to make any money, you know, because, you know, charging kids $3 to go see a band, was $3 back in the day, was not going to cut it basically to pay the rent. So the Squirrel Boys were at that time, they became known as Mass Confusion, and they played there a lot, and they had a bunch of bands come through there. So they had Operation Ivy, and they had MDC, and they had I remember one band was called Red Menace, and it seems like it wasn't Fear, it was something else. Fear, it was like not Fear itself, but it was something Fear. No, it was Damage Incorporated. I remember that, which is funny because that's a Metallica song. Damage Incorporated,
yeah.
But they were not a metal band, but they were called Damage Incorporated, so it was weird. I remember that. And I think the last gasp of them letting kids come in to, and then they limited it to 21 over. I think the last one was Operation Ivy, and it was fucking packed whenever Operation Ivy played there. And then the next week they said 21 and over only, and the teen shit was gone. Because why? Because we fucked it up. The same thing, same thing that happens all the time.
Did Bazooka Joe played that one too?
Bazooka Joe played that.
I think I've got, like, because they have in their 7-inch that I got at Kilgore one time, they have like that poster in there. It says like Operation Ivy, $4 with Bazooka Joe. And
hey man, $4 a lot
yeah,
of money,
crazy.
man.
Yeah.
$4 a lot of money, man. Back in the day.
I think they posted, Operation Ivy posted a picture from that particular show. Like, they said that there was like terrible like electrical issues or something, and one of the members got shocked while they were playing. And I just thought it was really cool that they had like posted that from this particular town out of all the places they probably went to.
Huh. Well, they disappeared off the face of the earth after that or something, didn't they?
They became rancid.
Half of them became rancid, and the singer like left or something.
Yeah, he kind of dropped off the face of the earth. He did he's back. They did like a mini reunion recently, I think, with that singer. But I think he's done some solo work, and I think he went into like filmography or writing books.
I heard he joined the Peace Corps and went to South America, but no telling what happened.
I mean, it could be any story like, oh, what happened to that band? Oh, he joined the Peace Corps. I don't know. He's the mayor of some town in Peoria.
It's like that wrestler Kane who became the mayor or something. Yeah.
Knox County, Tennessee.
Oh well.
Mayor Kane.
Mayor Kane. So that occupied all the high school years. And I think Mass Confusion broke up, and then they became Mountain Cow Surprise for like a year. And then I think they broke up again. It was all the same members every time. But I think the last time when they became Squirrel, Brian McKenzie wasn't in it at first. He was in October Chorus and Dead Cut Tree, which I guess Dead Cut Tree played with Bazooka Joe the other night, right? I don't remember.
That was Isabel's Gift.
Isabel's Gift. They were from Columbia. I remember they used to play here all the time too. They would open. They would like trade like you guys do. Mm-hmm. They would open down here for Squirrel or Dead Cut Tree, and then Squirrel would go open for them in Columbia or wherever they had nonsense gigs. So that was Castaways through the high school years, and then we had the Purple Gator, which had everybody come through there. They had LaToya Jackson. It was mainly a dance club. Yeah. The stage was awful. And then they had Testament and Body Count.
Oh, wow.
And White Zombie, and it was like, they figured out their gold mines were Hootie and the Blowfish, and they would have them at least once every 3 weeks. And then there was another band called New Potato Caboose, and they were just They were kind of fish. Yeah, it was weird as shit. They were like fishy kind of, and they would play like Allman Brothers, and they would play, and so a bunch of hippies would go there. A bunch of patchouli loving Birkenstock wearing hippies would go there for New Potato Caboose, but also hippie girls were there, so win. Win.
A win is a win.
And then there was another band. It was all they were local guys. It's called Uncle Wonderful, and they were Grateful Dead cover band, so you go see them. And the Mullets, they were a Grateful Dead cover band. You go see them just because the hippie girls were there, not because. There was another thing. It was about high school, because the Grateful Dead were actually still around back then. They were only in their 80s, still touring.
Now they're in their 130s.
But it's just it was very upsetting when people who were in the scene, the punk scene, and then the next thing you know, they come around and they're wearing fucking puka shell necklaces and going to fucking Grateful Dead concerts. And man, you're supposed to be with us, man. You're not supposed to be over there with them, and all the girls would just flock to fucking Uncle Wonderful, and why don't you come hang out with all us dudes who are like, wearing
Don't you guys like
wearing
leather?
our jean jackets.
Don't you guys like jean jackets and cigarettes?
I mean, what about us? So, I can understand why they might have gone that way, but, so Purple Gator figured out their money was Hootie and the Blowfish and Johnny Quest. Johnny Quest was, they were like a ska kind of band. They were like, they were very fast. And they would close their show every night with Motorhead, Ace of Spades.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they would be on a rotating basis. New Potato Caboose, Hootie and the Blowfish, and Johnny Quest. So they would all be on a rotating basis. Then they get some national acts come in. They really tried as hard as they could the last year. That's why they had Testament and Body Count and the Ramones and everything else come in like that. And I think they changed hands like after that summer that the Ramones played, and then they petered out and went to nothing. So we probably ruined it. Yeah. Oh, and Club Zero. I forgot about Club Zero. That was on 38th North. It got bulldozed, and there's a Walmart there now. Big surprise. But
like every good thing.
They would play. They would have bands occasionally, and and then there was Grunge Garden in North Myrtle Beach, which the guy originally wanted to name Soundgarden, even after Soundgarden became popular, but he got talked out of it, apparently, but he named it the Grunge Garden, so you're automatically disqualifying, 90% of people who want to go there and just have a beer. If you're naming it the Grunge Garden, if you could just name it like the Happy Hippo or something, then maybe all right, let's fucking try it out. Maybe they got good food and a beer, maybe I'll see something, band. But they tried as hard as they could. Like the Grunge Garden would try to, like the Comedy Cabana, the Comedy Store. I'll just give you an example. When they have somebody come in, they put them up at a condo for the weekend for their 3 nights. And the Grunge Garden tried that too. Put the band up in a condo so you'll play here. I'll give you a place to stay,
I'm sure that worked out well.
I'll give you. Yeah, I'm sure they fucked up that fucking condo pretty fucking good, I'm undoubtedly, So Squirrel would play there, and the Drag would play there. The Drag were just, I don't know, man.
They were like Britpop.
They Love and Rocket kind of, Echo and the Bunnymen. They were just not for me. Plus, they were...
You know our friend Scout, right?
Yeah.
That's his uncle.
Which one's his
Chance.
Uncle? The singer?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I don't know.
It's all connected.
I don't know, man. He always had like a dour look on his face, so I was, just like taking himself too seriously. So, and then they got signed to like that's Island half an island, or
it was Island Records,
but it was like a low end of Island Records. And then I was like, why'd they get signed? I don't know, why didn't Squirrel get signed? Because Squirrel's mine. Those are my boys.
Those are my boys.
Those are my boys. You take ownership. It's just like your fans. They're singing. If you look at that Pirates Cove thing, it's like 8 years after they had ever Squirrel had played, and everybody's singing their songs back to him, and you guys get all your guys singing your songs. So people take ownership in their local bands, but nobody was singing drag songs back to him. So
That's
I was just like, why did they get signed? Do they know somebody? I just don't understand. Even Dead Cut Tree, would get more of a following. And Dead Cut Tree played like a festival in Atlanta with Leonard Skinner one time, outside festival. So, I mean, their manager was working, trying to get them shit, so, but nonetheless. So, yeah, then the Grunge Garden didn't last long, then Club Zero didn't last long, and then I remember the Purple Gator was going to have Anti-Scene, and they
still tour.
They still tour.
Yeah,
they're
they
older
still
than me.
tour.
And he's the guy who takes a razor to his fucking forehead.
Yeah.
And he says, "This ain't no gore shit. This is real." Taking blood all over his fucking
All right,
face.
Gigi Allen. Let's keep it
All right, let's take it down a notch. All right, you're at the Purple fucking Gator. But anyway.
There's 10 people here.
Yeah. Exactly. I appreciate your effort, but, just play the fucking songs, man. Come on. But anyway, Club Zero had Anti-Scene playing, and they had booked them. And then Purple Gator booked Helmet. After,
wow.
Yeah. And so Club Zero told Anti-Scene they could not start until midnight because Helmet was going on at 9, and they wanted to make sure they grabbed everybody.
Yeah.
From that show, like people going to like just go see 2 shows that night, So I think I didn't even go to Helmet. I just went to Anti-Scene. So helping those boys out. There was only like 80 people there. So and he said something. I don't know what he said. He said something about bullshit. This is bullshit that we had to start this late. Not that they cared. They were probably going to be awake that late anyway.
Yeah.
Seems like there was another. Oh, the Mr. Yucks.
Mr. Yucks.
Mr. Yucks. Nobody's talked about them.
I've never heard this name. I think I've heard all the other places you talked about.
Mr. Yucks was over there behind Remedies. And
oh, wow. I think that was like a venue a few times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Yucks. And they were there when Squirrel was really catching fire. And they tried to have as many bands as you could come. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I went to school with there was 2 owners, Jamie and the other guy. I forgot the other guy's name. But Jamie was actually one of the first guitarists for Betrayal that we talked about earlier, the first show I ever went to. And they tried as hard as they could, but every time I go in there, and Jamie saw me, he'd give me a beer. I'm like, you can't give everybody beers, man. You're in business, you know what I'm saying? So, and they actually, when they closed up, they showed, because Squirrel played the first show there, and then grand opening, grand closing. They played the last show there, and they showed them the books. And the only time that the venue made money was when Squirrel played, and they filled the fucking place up. So it's not cool because nobody would go and support. I remember one band called Bicycle Face, and I was like, I never fucking heard of them. I mean, I'm not going to go just spend $8. The Bicycle Face. I'm not going to spend $8 on it, man. I'm sorry, So
yeah, that's
I
tough.
mean, and everybody else felt the same way, but Squirrel felt like it was an event because you see all the same people that you always see, just like at your shows. You see it was an event, and then at that time. Bazooka Joe had morphed into Thunder Pussy.
Thunder Pussy.
And the Daryl guy, the lead singer, I get their names mixed up. They're both Daryls. But the lead singer, and I missed this show, he decided he was going to hammer a nail through his ball sack on stage.
What?
Yeah. Just, again, I appreciate the effort, man, but unnecessary. So I missed that show. I don't think I missed anything, but,
I'd say you did.
I probably couldn't have seen it. I wouldn't have been up front. I wouldn't have been very up front. And they just said, I didn't see anything, but everybody said he did it. And they were trying to get it out. Couldn't get the nail out. And I was like, fucking moron.
They didn't think about that part.
Hey, maybe I should think about the aftermath of this excursion. So, well, whatever. So
that's hilarious. What happened to rock and roll?
Hey, man,
we gotta work. We gotta work on that.
You guys up your game. Tell Garrett to fucking grab a ball peen hammer, fucking the biggest fucking nail he can find, shove it directly through his balls. Don't want to injure the balls in case he wants kids later, but
yeah,
you can angle it. You can angle it and get it right through there. But of course, let's figure out a game plan to get this fucker out afterwards with as little damage as possible, and where I don't have to touch his ball sack and nobody else he doesn't have to go to the hospital. So anyway, but you guys are not bringing your A game if you're not shoving a nail through your ball sack. So
Sorry, Dad. I'll do better.
Disappointment, I tell you. Anyway, I think that's it by that time, you know. I think Squirrel broke up again. They went to Virginia and they made their 7-inch EP, and then it was like once every 6 months they would play, and I think everybody started having kids and real jobs and stuff like that, you know. So, and then you guys come back on. Then you guys come back on. But I mean, I remember Lazy Eye because of your Uncle Ryan that they were having shows there, and I heard it was like a record store.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go to a record store. And
I didn't realize, like, because when Michael was on, he was talking about the space, and I didn't realize it was like, I knew it was like kind of a storefront thing, but I didn't know if it was like bigger on the inside. But he said it was literally like record store, then just like smaller than our storage unit, like kind of space.
Yes.
And they've had like some bands come through there that like are now kind of bigger, like Against Me, and that's still one that I think of. But I know that there was others.
Huh. Well, good.
Are there moments in those venues you mentioned you always went back to, we fucked it up?
There's another one. It was called the Asylum, and that was downtown Myrtle Beach. I think it's like a Hebrew restaurant or something now. It was kind of tiny too, and I don't think Squirrel played there but a couple of times, but they mainly had like cover bands, because whenever they have original bands, if the band's not advertising it, then nobody's gonna fucking go.
Exactly.
So, because I remember there was a band called Norin Rad, which is the name of the Silver Surfer. That's his in the Marvel comics. That's his real name, Norin Rad, and they were trying to do something. That was a little bit of Squirrel too, but I think they dissipated and went away too. So and there was Rockburger. That was on the Boulevard too. Rockburger they used to get fucking Jackal. Jackal, they get Jackal every year. Every year.
They're still in Myrtle every year. They're playing. I think they're playing Suck Bang Blow.
So and the fucking After Deck, that was over there where the Dollhouse used to be. Remember when they not only moved the Dollhouse to North Myrtle Beach, but that was the After Deck because it had a deck overlooking the water. And then we had Driving and Crying play there, and they had it's the funniest fuck. Which should make Squirrel feel proud. It was the end of the metal, of course, the end of the metal era, and then the grunge era came in. You know what I'm saying? And you guys didn't get to witness it, but if you fucking watched MTV, it was like every goddamn thing was either Whitney Houston sounding music or Janet Jackson sounding music, or it was some shitty hair metal band. Not all shitty, some of them were good, but they released the shittiest singles, basically, you know what I mean? Like Cherry Pie, Warren, and all that fucking shit. So anyway, there was this band called Brother Kane, and they were from Canada, and they were going to be the headliner at the After Deck, and Squirrel was opening for them. So everybody went to go see Squirrel, right? And as soon as Squirrel was over, David said, well, you guys stick around for Brother Kane. So Brother Kane was coming, and everybody started leaving. And the promoter came on stage and said, ho, you guys hold on. Squirrel's coming back on after Brother Kane.
Wow.
And offered them the exact amount they just made to play another set after Brother Kane, because he's going to make Brother Kane play anyway. Yeah. But he wanted everybody to stay and keep drinking. But we all left, and then we came back like an hour later. And I mean, Squirrel didn't have that much variety of songs. They only had like 40 songs, 35 songs. Play the same set again. Play the same set again. So I would be embarrassed, but I'm sure worse shit has happened to Brother Kane on the road, as you guys have seen. Shit happens all the time to you guys while you're on the road.
They should have booked it the other way. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, maybe Brother Kane was, we're only...
Maybe it was their management or something.
Management just said, we're going to do this. And I was like, I have never heard of this band. And they had a couple of bands there, the After Deck. They also had Extreme. And everybody went there thinking they were going to play More Than Words. And they were fucking like loud as fucking shit. And they were just like, what the fuck? They were all like, I was like, yeah, you got to listen to the rest of your album.
It's not all More Than Words.
It's not all, they're just crying to some girl, you know. It's very heavy. So, because they released more than, because that's what happened. They would release like a metal band. They would either they would release a fast song, and then they would release like a slow song, and then they release a fast song, and they release a slow song. So the extreme, they released More Than Words first, because I guess they thought of the banger. So everybody thought, oh, there's some long-haired guys who are just,
They're just some
sweethearts. If you don't like what I'm saying, get the funk out. Yeah. Fucking Nuno was like amazing, and everybody was, so he was like wasted. He was like wasted on that fucking crowd, you know, who didn't know what they were getting into.
They thought they were going to get more ballads.
Yeah, I thought they were just going to sing soft songs to me the whole time. They should have just really fucked them and just not even played that.
That's what I would have done. Like, you know us from this song. Too bad we're not playing it.
Anyway, I think that's all the venues I can think of. But they all lasted like 8 months because we always fucked it up. So, you know, it's just like the Fireman's Clubhouse, they fucked it up. And the Burgess Community Center, they fucked it up. You know, there's like no more bands. No more bands.
Going to We Fucked It Up, what were some like things that you witnessed that might have contributed? Does anything?
There's just so much drugs going on, man. Have
you
you heard?
That mainly? I didn't know if there was like some like particular moments along the way, like fights or just something crazy happening.
Club Zeros. They were just like, you know, had some, and the bouncers. I mean, they don't fucking know that just because you're running around in a circle. 85% of the people, I'm not going to say 90, 85% of the people are not trying to cause problems. You know what I mean? There is 15%, even when I was a kid, that are, you know, I'm going to try and lay somebody out with my fucking elbow in the middle of the pit. You know what I mean? So they don't know the difference. So, yeah, dickheads. not you're a dickhead, Costin, but that's not cool, man. You're like 260-pound guy, man. You go up against me or Devin, you're going to fucking knock us the fuck out. So, you know, that's not cool. We're just trying to have a good time, too. All you're supposed to do is push or pogo, you know. And Squirrel played one time at the Parrot, which was a fucking tiny-ass bar. It's still there. I think it's different. It's different. Sure, it's different owners. And the fucking owner came out after the first song and said, you guys can pogo, and that's it. Because they had to move. They, like, moved the fucking pool table outside into a parking space just so there would be room enough for everybody to be in there. You know what I mean? Because they knew Squirrel was going to pack the place. And fucking, he said, you guys can pogo, that's it. None of this run around, or we're just going to cut it off, you know?
You ever seen, I don't know how long, I've seen it talked about more recently, but I don't know how long it's been a thing. People will sit down and do a rowboat in the pit.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a new thing or not, but I know they do it there's a band called Amon Amarth, and they're considered like Viking metal, quote unquote, and people will sit down on the floor and just act like they're rowing a giant Viking boat.
If I ever got into a pit, the objective was definitely not to get on the fucking floor. The objective was to survive and stay on the outside.
Yeah, just find a good place to stand and see everything.
Stand on the outside, because fuck.
There's kids now that are like crawling on the floor or doing the worm. There's new moves.
Everything evolves. It's always not for the better. So, you know, whatever.
At least they're not, you know, they're not hitting innocent bystanders.
Yeah. Costin. I know you're listening.
He knows he's listening.
So
I've told him. I mean, he knows how I feel about it.
No, it was just there's so much drugs going on and so much underage drinking. You know, they would just mark your hands with the X, and you know that's fucking
wash them off.
That's gone in like 12 seconds. You know, and so losing your liquor license, you might as well shut down. So you got 3 strikes and you're out. So, I mean, if I was working for the liquor board, that would be a place that I would just go and say, hey, caught you. I catch you every week. So that's part of the problem. I mean, there's been a bunch of clubs here that are no longer here that did the same fucking stupid shit. You know, served underage, so many drugs. You know, not that we knew that we were fucking shit up. You know, we should have known because Castaways disappeared, Replicated, Club Zero, Grunge Grind. Oh, fucking
who did this?
Trying to find a guy who did this.
Who did this?
Yeah. So, I mean, it was everybody's fault for just doing stupid shit, but you know, I mean, it is a small town, you know, so shit ain't gonna happen very much in the wintertime. People gotta pick their battles for their entertainment. You know what I mean? Especially if you're like 17, 18 years old. You know, pick your battles for how much are you gonna spend your money. You know what I mean? So that's part of the reason. And now you can, I guess you can be more familiar with everybody, you know, but now if you said Bicycle Face is going to play at Fresh Brewed, then I could say, hey, let me Google them and see if I like them. Before, it's just like, okay, fucking Bicycle Face, let's go fucking see them. And they fucking suck. You know, they sucked. I wasted my $8. So, you know, anyway, that's all I can think of as far as everything I went to. And after like I said, Lazy Eye, I was like career bound at that point. So, and I wasn't going to go to a record store and have it packed.
Yeah.
So, but
I get it.
Being
surrounded by all that, did you try to start any bands? I know the answer.
Look, let me explain. Okay,
well, I know you played.
I know
you played.
I didn't even start playing until I was. I
guess we should have started there.
I didn't even start playing guitar until I was like 19, and I really wish I would have played bass. You know, because probably I could have gotten more. I probably could have, because there's a lot riding on playing guitar. You know what I mean? And if you're not, and the more I played this, it was like I was just like, I'm just too sloppy. And I guess if I stuck with it more, then I probably could have done it better. But nonetheless, so my friend Johnny Jackson, who was in the Independents and Johnny Jackson 5, and no, he wasn't in the Independents, was he?
I don't know. I knew you did Strike-O-Matics.
Strike-O-Matics, that's them. Yeah. I forgot about that. I'd never even seen them.
I think they played that show too with us and Squirrel a long time ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because Johnny came in and told me at the store. And he said he wanted to start a band because he was going to be a drummer. And then I was like, okay, well, you know, we'll try. And then we go out to he got a warehouse out on Seaboard Street, and he tried every night. And every night he'd just invite a bunch of people there, and we'd just be everybody would just be drinking. I'm like, this is not serious. And he said, well, let's play that song. And I was like, where's practicing, man? You know, I just really don't want to, you know, practice in front of everybody. I said, we can drink when we're at home. Why don't we just, you know, practice? And he's like, well, write a song.
On the spot, write a song?
Write a song. I was like, no. You know, he said, just write some songs and we'll have some songs for tomorrow night. I said, I'm not coming out here every fucking night, man, just to fucking dick around and play, you know, 3 covers. It was like the third night, you know, in a row. And he was like, and we were fucking around, and I think we played 3 songs. And he said, I think I can get us a gig with Squirrel. I said, I think I can get us a gig with Squirrel, but I don't want a gig with Squirrel because we don't have any songs.
Right.
You know, Squirrel will be happy to put us up there and let us do whatever the fuck we want because we've known him forever. But no. And then, like, another guy came out there, and he was, like, excellent, you know, guitar. You know, he's, like, blister and everything. And I was just like, cool. So I said, hey, Johnny, man, I don't think this is for me. I don't think. And he had picked out the name already. What is the name?
7 Assorted Surfers.
And why was it 7 Assorted Surfers? There was only 2 of us. We picked out the fucking name. And they didn't even go with that name. They went with Red High. Instead of Red Eye, they went with Red High.
I think 7 Assorted Surfers is way better.
And then they ended up, that was at the fucking same time as Limp Bizkit and all that fucking nonsense came out, you know, which is, you know, they're just doing their thing, which I've learned to say. I learned to say a long time ago, they're just doing their thing and it's not for me, you know. But so they started like rap rock and it became 10 Gauge. And I was like, well, I called them 10 Gays. Which is rude. Hold on. Which was rude. I didn't mean to say that. But, you know. Because I was just, why are you doing that? That's not even the vision that we started with, which I can understand that changed, you know, but we were just going to be a rock and roll band. We were just going to, you know, play, you know, get some songs together. And we didn't have a singer.
Yeah.
So then they ended up with a rapper. And I was like, ugh. So, but Johnny took off and he did much better when he got with the Strike-O-Matics. He's an excellent drummer, an excellent punk rock drummer, which you don't got. If you don't got a good drummer, you ain't got shit if you're playing punk rock. So
Exactly.
for sure. Yeah, as you know, Mr. Connor is excellent. So, So, yeah, Seven Assorted Surfers. That was the end of that. And then me and Craig just started playing around, my other buddy. And, but I was like, this is not going to go into anything. He said, well, I'm not interested in that really anyway. I just want to play with somebody, So, anyway, that's how that came about and left quickly. But I was not going to compete with this other guy. That was Pickett, I think. And I think his name was Pickett. And he was much better than me anyway, so he'd be better for the band. So, bye-bye. Anyway, that's the story of that.
That's the story.
That's the story.
The rise and
the
fall.
rise and fall of Seven Assorted Surfers, which was
what was the VH1 show?
Behind the Music.
Yeah.
That was it. 3 days, and I was just
Wow.
like, I'm done.
That's
I'm not going to go out there and have everybody just show up and us be drinking all night, because I got an apartment for that. I mean, Johnny still lived at home. If this was an excuse to drink, you just come over to my house and we could just drink, or we could just go down to the beach access and drink like we were doing. We don't have to rent a fucking warehouse,
Sweat balls in a warehouse.
Sweat balls in a fucking warehouse in the middle of summer for nothing,
Yeah.
just to not get anything accomplished. I'm not interested in that. So, I always thought we were just gradually move on up, and because Craig kept saying he was going to get a bass, and then we were going to find a singer. And he said, Johnny said, well, maybe I could sing. I said, you're going to drum and sing? Are you Night Ranger? What the fuck is this? It's just a question all the time has come.
You could have sang.
No. Negative. Negative. But, that's how you guys, that's how you found punk rock. And, I just always, and then dispersed throughout, there was, little reggae, I would buy reggae albums, or tapes, and figure that out. I was one of the last people to start buying CDs.
Really?
Yeah. So, the rise and fall of the scene, the ebb and flow.
Yeah.
Charlotte is a big fucking city, and they've had clubs come and go because people fuck it up,
Yeah.
or people just don't go see new music like they should, So it is what it is. And if you're bitching and moaning that nothing good ever happens, you could be out in the middle of bumfuck Iowa, and not have a place like Fresh Brewed that's going to introduce you to new bands. You might not fucking know a song, but if you tell your friend to meet you there, then you guys can have a night anyway. You know what I mean? Then go somewhere else. So if in fact the band sucks or you don't like them, they're not your style. So you could be anywhere, and the club closes. The good club closes, which there were probably none of them really good. You know what I'm saying, as far as that goes. But they were there. They tried.
Something to do.
They tried, but
We've definitely seen a few since I've started
there
this
you go.
thing. They've come and gone.
But
But it's always been the same, like, for the most part, it's been the same people, like, trying to bring it all back up. So
they're trying.
It all finds a way.
Yeah, those Bazooka Joe guys, they're still trying to get people to come out to see shows. What's the name of their kids' band?
Corrupt Faith.
Corrupt
They were
Faith.
Circuit. They changed to Corrupt Faith. Same band.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The guy we recorded with, he was like, oh, the 5-minute band. I was like, yeah, it's
The what?
the 5-minute band because they play so fast.
They play 12 songs in 5 minutes.
I don't like. I had them booked for a show in February, and I sent a group text to everyone with the set times, and I had them last, and I think I put their set from, I said 10 to 10:30 or whatever it was. And the singer responded, and she was like, okay, yeah, we probably won't even play that long. I was like, all right, cool. We'll all go home early. I'm cool with that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let me see. What other questions do you have?
What's your favorite Rush album?
My favorite Rush album would probably be, albums, usually your favorite album is where you might have got introduced to that band.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes it goes back further, because I got introduced to Rush with moving pictures,
Yeah.
then that's probably my favorite album. You know, I mean, but 2112 is just such a wonderful. I don't know how to describe it. It's just such a good storytelling of a concept album. It's not really a concept album. You know what I mean? So. It's just like, so Moving Pictures, it's just like, but Van Halen, 1984, is the first album I ever heard, because, you know, I was like fucking 5 years old and buying Van Halen. But I think Women and Children First is actually my favorite album.
Okay.
You know, so, you know, anything can happen, you know, in that regard. So.
Sometimes those introductory records just stick with you the most. Like, there's a few that were with me, or like for me, it's like a certain time that you can associate it with. It's like, oh, that's my favorite. It may not be like on the Livewire top album list or whatever, whatever like the norm like number one is. But whatever sticks with you, whatever resonates with you the most.
Well, it's kind of. I mean, you know, it's kind of like music does take you back to a time in your life. You know, if I hear fucking Dang Me by Roger Miller, then it takes me back to me and my sister just playing the old records on the old shitty record player, you know, and sitting on the floor because, you know, nothing else to do. Or I hear any Grease songs, or Grease is on TV, I'll just watch Grease and it takes me back, you know. Or if I hear, you know, like some Circle Jerks, I mean, I can scooch through on YouTube or the Spotify, and, you know, and just something will come to me, and then I can listen to it for a little while, and it just takes me back to remembering those times whenever you watch that. You like that, or Metallica, you know. So, you know, there's a bunch of reggae, Metallica, and Slayer in there too. You know, it wasn't just went from heavy metal to punk and then, you know, now I just listen to dad rock. You know, there's all levels to, you know, what you listen to, and then they can all still take you back, you know, to where you were, what you were doing, how old you were, and all that kind of stuff. In a certain time in your life, you know, cruising around, just listening to Peter Tosh Legalize It and smoking left-handed cigarettes, you know, being bad boys.
The wacky tobacco.
The wacky tobacco. So, you know.
Well, I appreciate you doing this and sharing all this wisdom with me. I definitely learned a lot, and it was cool to get to do this with you. I know you're a loyal listener. I know what I would always say when I was a kid. I always said that when I grew up, I wanted to be on a podcast. And, you know, I always said that when I was a kid.
I hope. You only get a sponsor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, was that Man Great, Norm Macdonald?
Oh, the Man Great. Yeah, and then like, we lost Man Great.
I can't. Why were they lose though?
Thank you for escaping this family and friend gathering at this house and doing this with me. This was a lot of fun.
Oh well, you know, you know everything. I know everything you do because I ask you what's going on. So you know, now you know how I spent my my teenage
formative
years
up
till I was like 22, 23, I think is when.
Oh man, so we got a whole other episode to do then.
Yeah, it's all dad rock since then.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I'm not into
the real music.
I mean, as far as buying something new, that kind of just went out the window because I was just either working in my stupid job or raising a bunch of kids and stuff like that. And just, you know, new stuff just kind of went by the wayside. So I just didn't really quit paying attention to it. It's kind of like, you know, I used to watch a lot of wrestling like you guys do, and then, you know, it just kind of like went by the wayside, you know, and then never watched it anymore. So watch it occasionally, but it's really just not very good anymore. The way I would see it, you know, through my 7 or 8 year old eyes, and just hating Ric Flair for beating the ever-loving snot out of Ricky Steamboat because I thought Ricky Steamboat was the best, and Ric Flair would beat the hell out of him. And
that's something else.
That's so not fair. Cause look how big he is.
They were both at the show that we just went to.
Oh, for Sting.
Yeah. And so like the tag team, the Young Bucks, they're like the guys that helped start AEW. They hit Ric Flair with a super kick. The Bucks were getting booed the whole time, but they kicked Ric Flair, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, we like that." And Steamboat was there. He took a bump that looked kind of scary because they're both 100, but
Yeah.
it was funny to see them both there, like ringside for Sting.
I mean, Ricky, their sell. If you go back on, you watch any Ric Flair, or if you watch that Ricky Steamboat and Randy Savage WrestleMania, where Ricky Steamboat beat him. Technically, Ricky Steamboat is nearly flawless, but his sell just looks like shit when
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just kind of like, kind of cringy looking, It's like Ric Flair's, he gets popped and then he takes 2 more steps and then face plants, that cringy shit.
Right.
I hate that. Can't you figure out something else to do besides that? You've been doing this for like 150 years, so, Or... Yeah, I quit. I was watching wrestling when I was like 8, and then I quit watching it for a little while. And then I started watching it again when I was like 13, 14, because that's when the 4 Horsemen were like all over the place. And that's at the same time that we actually got WWF through, it came on USA or something, like USA Network at that time, like when I was 13, 14. So it was on Monday night, and then... whatever, WCW was on Sunday night. So we just called that New York wrestling with Hulk Hogan and all those schmucks and all that stuff, And it was just like the contrast in the production value from the New York wrestling to the WCW at that time, where they just basically called it NWA. They didn't really call it WCW. But the production value was so much better. And they always did it in a fucking...
like
a stadium, and... So it was just, you could see the writing on the wall that one was going to take over the other one eventually because, how long can it go? So, but, anyway. And just Hulk Hogan was just, how's he going to get out of this one? How's he going to get out of this one?
I got to watch next week. See.
Like, how did he beat Andre the Giant?
For 93,319 screaming Hulkamaniacs.
For the power, eat your vitamins, say your prayers.
Let me tell you, brother.
He was so cheesy, but you still wanted to root for him because the bad guys. It's easier to root for the good guy if the bad guy is just a fucking ass. And you just, and you're like a kid. Ric Flair was just fucking, I'm styling and profiling, and I got $500 suits, blah, blah, blah. And Ricky Steamboat's just, wearing like a t-shirt and just like, I'm going to tell you something, man. You're not going to talk to me like that. And yeah, you are.
Did you happen to see any clips from the Iron Claw? The movie they just put out?
Yeah, just Zac Efron looks weird now. It's just,
he looks jacked. But they had...
his jawline.
Yeah, his jawline.
Weird. I think he took too much HGH because it does make your head grow.
Yeah.
As well as your muscles and your bones. So I think he took too much HGH, and he might regret that because he doesn't look like the same guy. So
it's crazy. But they had the dude that played Ric Flair was like not good. I was like, who is this guy? They should have just
Has
like...
you ever heard of Ric Flair
before?
before?
He's like, have you never, did they not show the guy the promo when he just, I don't know, it just did not deliver for me, but I don't know. Anyway, that was a sad
I
think we
movie.
already talked about
that. That was a sad movie.
Oh, it was sad that did you watch it? Or
No.
do you just, it's
I
like...
heard it was sad.
You go
I know
in,
it's sad, the sad story.
Yeah, you go in knowing it's going to be a depressing thing, but it was just, it was just so sad.
Well, when the Von Erich, you were aware of Kerry Von Erich, but he just never got a good push, I don't think, with WWF at the time. So, and I do remember AWA, which was really small. That was Gagne's. I forget who owns it now. I think, Al Snow, he owns it now or something, doesn't he? That wrestler Al Snow.
Oh, he has the Ohio one.
Oh, okay.
I think
okay.
he probably. I'm sure he had some other ones.
Ohio
I'm not
Valley.
super
Yeah.
versed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, AWA they would be on. They would only be on like Saturday at midnight, and I think the Von Erichs were on there quite a bit. And they were the biggest motherfuckers out there. That's where Sting started, and Ultimate Warrior. They started in AWA, and they were getting to be big as far as muscles.
Yeah.
But, then they really I think Ultimate Warrior, he was a bodybuilder previously. So, Are you pacified with everything you've learned from me today? My journey is different than your journey, and I always thought I knew your journey would be different. I thought, well, because your Uncle Ryan, he was introducing you to punk rock bands when you were like 11 years old and stuff like that. And I was like, well, let's just save that for later. You know what I mean? Let's just save that for a little bit later. Let's let him. Maybe he needs to enjoy some of this first, some heavy metal first, and basically take the same journey that I took. But by that time it was too late. He had already introduced you to stuff, and then Blink-182 and Green Day came out, and they were kind of poppy punk. So and you loved them, you loved them, and we made sure you got to go see them one time. So.
Yes. That is a highlight of my entire existence. is that I tell people about that a lot. Like, yeah, and people were jealous of it too. Like, yeah, you should be. I saw Green Day and AFI when I was 11 years old or 12 years old or however old we were.
I want to remember how
20.
old you were.
It was the summer before 7th grade, so I was like
1982. No, that's my summer.
But yes, you guys both had hand in hand in my.
Yeah,
musical upbringing for sure,
which is fine.
So,
and that's why I didn't want to. I was so sloppy at guitar that I didn't want to teach you anything because I didn't want you to be sloppy too. I figured that you could learn at your from someone else. I figured your Uncle Ryan would teach you, but he only taught you half-ass, which is what I would have done. So, which is fucked up. But nonetheless, he doesn't listen to the podcast, so fucked up. But you're still very good.
He might be on tomorrow. We'll see.
And you got more talent than I got, so. Anyway,
but I appreciate your time. I've taken an hour of your day here. We would have had this conversation at some point anyway, but I'm glad we captured it.
You can come back and listen to it anytime.
Yeah, and I think we probably have a whole other podcast we could do as well sometime if you're open to
for music. Yeah,
I don't know, just hang out.
Sure.
But
watch a movie.
Oh yeah, we can make you watch a movie.
You watch a shitty movie
or a good movie.
Let
you pick. Let you pick the movie, but. Again, thank you for being my dad.
Thank you for being
being
a good little fella. This was fun. I remembered a bunch of stupid shit I forgot about. So
yeah, that was I learned a lot. So I know I did a false end earlier, but this will be the actual end of the All right, see ya. All right, well there you have it. Thanks again to my dad for joining me on this lovely Sunday. One more thing before we wrap up. There's a lot of shows that happen in Myrtle Beach, but there's no show like a Myrtle Beach show. And I got a whole fresh list here for you. This Saturday, March 23rd, the Turn of Forte Notes from a Lost Dog record release show. Also joining us will be Clean Sweep, Equal Creatures, and Convalescent. That's at the Brick House Lounge. You can find the tickets at getrightlive.com. And there'll be $13 online. There'll be $15 at the door. Show starts at 7. Next week, March 30th, at the Fresh Brewed Coffee House, we have Ocala, Brevity, Schwick, Potter, and Busted Radio. That's $10 at 7 p.m. April 6th at Arcadia, Candescent, Hollow God, Warning Order Split in 2. That's brought to you by Fragile Life Records. That's $10 at 7 p.m. Next week, or the week after, April 12th, also Fragile Life. This was kind of a last-minute booking, but you got Southpaw coming up from Florida, Bathsheba, Violent End, and Strike Face. That'll be at Next Level Fitness, $10, 7 p.m. The following day, April 13th, Bean God, Frank the Frog, Bisky Christ, and Sub 39 at Arcadia Studios, $10, 7 p.m. April 19th, Elderbright, Blank State, Orange Doors, and Rosary at Fresh Brew Coffee House, $10, 7 p.m. May 18th, Hymns of Blasphemy, Corrupt Faith, Call to Harm, Death Tax, and Cherry Vanilla at Arcadia Studios, $10, 7 p.m. May 25th, Team Deathmatch, Kill Card, Jiu-Jitsu, and Chained at Arcadia Studios, $10 at 7 p.m. There will be a couple other shows, I believe, that are being announced this week. So again, follow us at Myrtle Beach Shows on Instagram for all of that fun stuff, and we will see you at a show. And that's pretty much it. I think that's all I have to say. Usually I don't wrap these up. Usually Andrew has the last word, but he's not here. But that is it. Farewell.